U.S. could win a million different battles. It can win on the ground front, on the water, but it can still lose the actual war to the cartel. And I'll tell you guys why on the back end, all right? And then make sure you stay towards the end, guys. I have a special guest coming on, DEA agent Tom Marble. If anybody should know about what's going on between the cartel versus the U.S. as it relates to special operation, it will be this man. But before we get to him, guys, what is going on with the cartel versus U.S. forces? This is the latest and greatest. Now, you guys are aware of all the different airstrikes that has taken place within the last month or so, right? 11 dead, 3 dead off the coast of the United States, vessels that were allegedly carrying drugs to the United States. Strong show of force, in my opinion, by taking those guys out. But is it enough, right? Let's jump into what exactly are the special operation forces doing to combat the cartel. How are we fighting these different entities with the different forces that we have? What's the CIA doing? What are the Green Berets doing? Delta Force, etc. Let's cover that, and then we'll talk about some of the challenges and also why I think it's important that we're doing this. But ultimately, at the end, I'll speak with Tom Marble about how none of that is really going to matter, right? Let's first jump into intelligence collection, which is key in any type of operations, right? There's a saying out there that intelligence drives operations. Intelligence drives wars. Why? Because, guys, if we don't have the information, if we don't know where these individuals are, if we don't know where these key cartel leaders are or where the drug is coming in and where it's coming from, we won't be able to interdict. Right now, that specific job falls to the agency, the CIA, along with some, entities here and there from the Green Berets, MARSOC, and SEAL community. That is mainly their job, right? And everyone else enables them in the intelligent collecting process. Now, once that intelligence is collected, then it gets processed and move on down the road to the units that actually actions them. Now, the intelligent collection portion of it comes in a lot of different ways. It could be done through SIGINT, which is signal intelligence, right? And that could come in the form of cell phones. You have drones that are also out there collecting intelligence on behalf of the agency, but that is how that's done. And then, of course, you have the human aspect of it, where humans are actually collecting the intelligence for the agency. And that could come in a variety of different ways, right? We can recruit Mexican nationals from those regions to collect that intelligence, or we can do it ourselves, right? The CIA has operatives running around Mexico collecting intelligence, et cetera, et cetera. It's not uncommon to have that happen. I remember working in Afghanistan, and some of the guys within my team that was responsible for that type of activities, they had guys within the country that would go out and collect intelligence for the team. And then we would meet up with them, debrief them, collect the intelligence, plug it into whatever we had going on, analyze it. The Fox will do his thing. And then next thing you know, we're getting ready to go kinetic to go conduct an operation, right? No different, guys. The folks in Mexico, Venezuela, or whatever, they collect intelligence. CIA handler gets it, right? We get it, process it, get it to the right units. They go action it. Now, that job is mainly the CIA. Now, what is Delta Force? What is the Coast Guard? What is SEAL Team 6 doing? They are responsible for direct action. They are responsible for getting that target packet after the intelligent apparatus have handed it over to them. They look at it, they plan a mission, they go get that dude. That is what they're doing. And that can take several different forms. It can take the form of, hey, we are going to go into Mexico in some of these areas and we're going to get these high value targets. Or it can be, hey, we know there's a boat coming in off the coast of, California or wherever. We are going to conduct an airstrike, or we're going to do a boat interdiction, right? Boat interdiction just means, hey, there's a boat coming. It's got some stuff on there, right? We're going to interdict. We are going to then get on our boat. We're going to go up to that boat, stop it, and then we're going to board that boat, search and seizure, arrest the dudes, and then go from there. That is what that means. And that job is mainly going to be your Delta Force, your SEAL Team 6, and some other type of direct action teams from the Coast Guard or the DEA, right? That's what that's going to look like. That's who's going to be conducting those type of operations. And then you have the enabling aspect of it, right? This one is very, very common. And I think this is what we've been doing, for the last 20 plus years, is Green Berets going in, enabling and training our partner force in order to equip them in order to encourage them to fight their own fight within that host country to hopefully stop the drugs from getting on the boat to begin with. It's the FID mission, and that's going to be mainly your Green Berets. We go to Mexico, right? We go to Colombia. We go to all these places and we work with their military. We train them, we equip them, and we show them how to do the narco trafficking mission so they can hopefully stop all of that nonsense before it even leaves the country. And that mission is mainly going to be your Green Berets. You might have some SEAL teams, you might have some MARSOC dudes here and there, but that is that mission, guys, and it's alive and well. At any given time, you have guys from 7th Special Forces Group down in Eglin. They are in those countries conducting that specific mission. And then last but not least, guys, like I mentioned, you have your drone warfare that's going on, right? That's drones also going kinetic and dropping bombs on some of these vessels that we've seen over the last couple of days or months getting blown up here and there. Now, that's what all these different units are doing, right? That's what they are out there doing. Now, let's talk about some of the challenges that these guys are going to face as they are taking it to the cartel. Because again, guys, this has been going on for about a year now. We have designated those cartel organizations as terrorists. We've done that over a year now. And in my opinion, nothing has changed. Last year alone, we had approximately 87,000 deaths due to overdose, due to opioid overdose, right? And this year, we're on track to essentially beat that number. Nothing is changing, yet we've been at this for about a year now, right? And I'm going to tell you guys why nothing is changing here in a little bit. But before we do that, let's get to some of these challenges that these guys are going to face.
The Trump administration has directed the military to prepare for lethal strikes against cartels. The attacks will reportedly be ready by mid-September. One of the military sources quoted says the military action could come without the approval of the Mexican government.
And if that cooperation gets lost, the question is it worth it to have done it?
A separate report from the New York Times reveals the CIA has increased reconnaissance operations over Mexico with drones.
Any country would find it inappropriate if foreign soldiers without permission were being actively deployed on their territory. It says a whole bunch of things. There are, however, models for success, ways in which this can be done legally without violating Mexican sovereignty.
Finding and taking down Mexican cartels has been a priority for President Trump. Finding specific cartel leaders can be tough, but it can also be done, especially if they're still actively involved.
It took a long time to find bin Laden because bin Laden wasn't talking to anybody. And he wasn't of operational significance. He was a strategic visionary leader. He was putting out the occasional letter, but basically he was completely cut off using a one-man courier. Even Chapo Guzman had people near him who were using phones, who could be targeted by U.S. signal intelligence, be it law enforcement or military. And so he could be found once his network, once there was a focus on targeting his network. And we could see this for a lot of high-value targets.
It's unclear exactly what the U.S. strategy is at this point when it comes to military action against cartels, but Dr. Jones says the strategy is the most important part.
I have no doubt that if the United States were to send in, say, special operations raids of some kind, I have no doubt that anywhere they go, they will defeat Mexican cartels. It's also completely irrelevant to the broader strategic context. You can win every battle and still lose a war. We saw that in Vietnam.
Now, when it comes to challenges that these guys are going to face, and this is why I said we could win a bunch of battles on several different fronts. However, nothing's going to change as far as us losing the war to the cartel. And it's because of this. Now, you think about it, when it comes to the cartel, guys, there's several different ones to begin with. And then you have the corrupt government that is involved in several of these countries, whether it's Mexico, whether it's Venezuela. You have the government working with them. And when the government is involved, guess what? The military is involved. When the military is involved, guess what? The police are involved. When the police are involved, guess what? The politicians are involved. It's hard to win a conflict and put down a certain, a nemesis, in this case, the cartel and the drug activities, when they have those three pillars behind them, right? You have the government, you have the politicians, and then you have the police enforcement that operate at the local level. If all three of those are against you, it's going to be an impossible task, in my opinion. All right. And another challenge they have to face too is going to be the human terrain, the human element. And some of these countries, guys, Mexico, Venezuela, you have people that are living in poverty from day to day to day to feed their loved ones, to feed their kids, to feed their wives. This is how they do it. You can kill as many of them as you want, but if there's a need for a man to feed his family, he's going to find a way to do it. And if this is the only way they can do it is by smuggling drugs from point A to point B, guys, they're going to do it. We could kill as many of them as we want. We could kill blow up as many boats as we want to blow up. People are still going to get on those boats and they're going to try to find a way to provide for their family. Because why? Because at the end of the day, as a man, that is one of their core duties. At the end of the day, that's one of their core jobs. Just like in the United States, as a man, we do whatever we need to do to protect and provide for our family. It's no different around those parts of the world, right? They are willing to go to more extreme measures to make that happen. And that's another challenge that we have to face and keep in mind. We can go over there and bomb whoever. They're still going to do it because in some parts of the world, that is more acceptable than just sitting around and watching your family starve to death. So that's something that the Green Berets and all these other units that are on the ground doing the job also have to think about and keep in mind. Now, aside from all these challenges, aside from everything that we're facing, we're essentially fighting an uphill battle. I understand the importance of it. I understand that this is something that has to happen, right? I get it. We need to cut out the supply. We need to kill these people bringing it in. We need to do X, Y, and Z. But in my opinion, guys, the way we're going about doing it isn't going to work. Now, before we jump into the reason why, I want to bring on my good friend, DEA agent Tom Marble, and we're going to talk about the latest and greatest as far as what's going on with the cartel in Latin America and Mexico, et cetera, et cetera. He'll give you guys his 2 cents, and then we'll talk about why I don't think that this problem is going to go away anytime soon. Tom, I appreciate you. What are your thoughts?
So I spent 21 years in DEA with the Foreign Deployed Advisory Support Team as a 5.5 years working with Special Operations Forces targeting drug organizations in Afghanistan and elsewhere. And then I also spent 30 years in the Marine Corps on active duty and also as a reservist, retiring, doing special operations as well. So I have aware of the strikes, the kinetic strikes on at least 3 boats. I think there's a third one that has just happened. It's a tool. It's a tool you can't completely rely on, but it's the carrot and stick. I don't know what else is being done, but I would suspect they're doing a lot of intelligence collection. And when you do kinetic strikes, you're doing that to message the enemy, the adversary. It also causes you to generate intel leads by either active sources, human sources, or technological means to start building your target package to further your effect on the organization. So yes, it is effective, but it has to be done in conjunction with other strategies, if you will. Well, with under Title 21, DEA would go in and do criminal investigations, whereas Title 10 forces, the special operations, would enable those criminal investigations. The thing that's different now is as the president has designated certain cartels terrorist organizations under Title 10, you can prosecute those targets as enemy combatants, which then enables you to use the full might of the U.S. military to destroy those organizations. So it really would depend on the end effect, but also with Mexico, particularly Mexico, where we have good relations. We would want to work with the Mexican government more of a law enforcement capacity. But I would suspect, my opinion, in Venezuela, where we do not have relations, that would be more of a Title 10, where they are those cartels that originate out of Venezuela that are designated as terrorist organizations would be targeted using Title 10 authorities. The kinetic strikes you just talked about with the boats. Special operations forces are going to experience significant challenges targeting these cartels based on the authorities that they will operate under. As I stated, Mexico and Venezuela will be treated differently. Mexico is a friendly nation to the United States. Venezuela is not. So the issue will be, how do you operate in a friendly country? And that would be by, with, and through the host nation, predominantly law enforcement in Mexico. In Venezuela, what I would believe is you're going to do standoff strikes and try to develop Venezuelans, the opposing forces, if you will, in that country through other means to do your bidding. So I don't see U.S. forces on the ground in Venezuela, at least not now. So the efforts of the U.S. Special Operations Forces to curb the influx of drugs is really to diminish the profit generated by those funds that fund the corruption in those countries and corruption in our country, to give law enforcement the ability in the United States to try to reduce the influx of these drugs. That's just partially addresses the problem. So the efforts that I'm aware of being conducted by U.S. forces against cartels, it's very limited on what is being published on the media. So there's a lot we don't know that's going on. I suspect there is a lot of development of human intelligence collection sources and methods within the countries of Mexico and South America and Central America. So it's a start. It's a radical departure from how the status quo, what we've done for the past 30 years when I've been involved in drug enforcement. So just not knowing the total plan, the strategy, I couldn't tell you, but it's definitely a way to change how we do this counter drug mission. I'm cautiously optimistic, but it's a lot more than just blowing up boats.